Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to today's talk. And I am your friend Chirag. As every weekend, I have planned to share a journey of experienced people, how they transform their career from the technology in which they are working from few years. And as we all know, that cloud is booming, the demand of cloud is high, as same it is applicable on the people, especially the skillful people. But one thing is still common, that most of the people out there are confused that how to learn cloud, what cloud is best. These kind of common queries I am facing every day in my LinkedIn inbox, as well as many of the folks, or in, at least in my friend circle, we always discuss that what best we can do to share from our experiences, that how we started and how anyone can start, regardless of whatever the background, technology experience, or even if you're coming from a non-technical background, cloud is for everyone. So in the same context, I have invited an experienced person today with us on this discussion, who is going to share that how anyone can start about cloud. And DevOps is something which is again a part which is completing the entire cloud journey, or you can say it is complementing each other. So the today speaker is played a different role, from a banking industry, from a solution architect, from a developer in the few big consulting services or the services organization. And now uh, our speaker of today's talk is building the courses for all of us. It is very famous in Udemy under the brand of in28minutes. I believe if you recognize him, just shout your hello in the chat box. As well as in today's talk, we are having a quiz at the end. So stick with us. Also share the YouTube link as well as the LinkedIn live stream in your circle, so maximum people can join and take the advantage of today's discussion. The quiz will happen at the end, maybe last 10 to 5 minutes. We will talk almost about 50 to 55 minutes, and the winner of quiz, especially the three winner, will get a coupon code from our speaker for his course on GCP Digital Cloud Leader, which is kind of an entry level certification, and it recently get refreshed, I believe 2 to 3 days back. GCP refreshed its certification. It is more towards a transformation, or how any business can transform by adopting the cloud in their organization. So it will be a good entry point to learn. So let me bring Ranga Ranga K on our
Hi.
screen. Hey Ranga, how are you? Good evening.
Hi, Shirag. Thanks for the introduction. Glad to be here.
Sure, sure. So it's my pleasure. Like I believe we are connected for almost many months, but I got the opportunity to have a discussion. And thanks for accepting this invitation, because I also see that you are also doing the same kind of initiative, that bringing people and trying to motivate each and everyone, inspire each and everyone, so that we all can learn together cloud in a bigger way. So yeah, in
Absolutely.
that regard, I would like to start our today discussion to know about yourself, that as you have almost 20 year of experience, that you started, you played a different role, from technology evangelist, developer, solution architect. When the first time you interact or you know about cloud, and what motivate you to learn about cloud? Can you share your entire journey from maybe from your first job, and then what motivate you to make the courses? It will be
Yeah,
helpful.
absolutely. Yeah, sure. See, like when I started with a programming kind of a background, right? So like I played with a number of programming languages. I mean, some of the programming languages I played with may not be even existing today. Things like Power Builder.
Okay.
I played with Sybase database, like a lot of very old things. And slowly over a period of time, I switched into Java, and that's where I like spent a lot of my time. Like I was programming a lot with Java, and then like I started building a lot of web applications, full stack applications, and I'm also passionate about the software craftsmanship aspect of things, right? How to ensure that your code is clean, like simple design, So those are some of the areas where I explored during the initial phase of my journey. I was passionate about writing great unit tests and things like that, right? So, and during the course of this journey, I realized, after like few years, I got an opportunity to travel abroad as well. So I got a chance to live in US for a few years, live in Netherlands for a few years, and that's where I got exposed to a lot of ways people learn, right? So I was in India, adopted like I work like I saw a specific way of learning, like that's what I was adapting. And when I went to US, when I went to Netherlands, I saw different approaches to learning, other approaches to learning, and that's where I thought, okay, these are good, and probably these are things which will be really really good if I can take it to a lot of people. And that's where I thought, okay, let's go and start something. I mean, I was working with a lot of programmers, and I saw that I have a way of putting things, making like complex things easier. And that's where I thought, okay, let's go and try and create some content, right? So that's where I started a YouTube channel in 2012, long way back, almost 10 years back. And slowly, like I kept creating content, and slowly I found Udemy. Like I thought, okay, this is a place which will help me to go full time with creating content. And yeah, that's my journey. So I started with being a programmer, like kind of tech lead, architect. Like I like being hands-on, so I was kind of switching back to programmer roles and things like that. And as far as cloud is concerned, I don't think it's a big transformation as such for people who are, if you are technically inclined. I think cloud is something which is very very easy, right? Cloud, like to be really really frank, it's somebody else's computer, as simple as that. I mean, you need to worry a little bit more about security. And also now, like with in the last few years, you would see that each of the cloud providers are innovating a lot, right? It's not anymore just the infrastructure part. It's also a lot of managed services, a lot of services which makes things very very easy. Today, if you want to do DevOps, probably the best place to start learning DevOps is in the cloud, because you don't need to do any setup. All that you need to do is to pick up one of the continuous integration services in the cloud, just go and configure a couple of screens, and you are ready with continuous integration. So yeah, like so for me, cloud is was an easy thing to start. I was like deploying applications for a long time, and it was like pretty simple thing. Like the concept was simple. As soon as enterprises started seeing the value in it, and they started shifting towards the cloud, it was inevitable that a lot of people actually start their journeys towards the cloud, and that's what was my journey as well.
Wow, wow. So yes, I can relate the same kind of story. Like few weeks ago, we had a discussion with Yujun, and I believe everyone knows about Yujun Liang. He's inspiring each and everyone on a regular basis, on a daily basis. He's posting a lot of motivational things. He also mentioned about that he was a power builder developer, then he transformed his career into Java. So I can understand. So yeah, it's great to know that you share about like lot of technology transformation or changes you have done in the early days of your career. And then the most important part, I believe, which will give a relief to everyone, that learning cloud is easy. Because I believe that is where still the confusion, that cloud is a separate technology or separate thing. For that, a person need to put a lot of effort from scratch. And I believe you share it very well, that if you inclined towards technology, a person can utilize his and her experience to build his and her confidence and learn cloud in a right way. Okay, so just a curiosity to know that what was your first cloud platform, and what kind of interaction you have.
Yeah, my first cloud platform was AWS,
Okay.
and it was like I was building a lot of Spring Boot applications at that particular point in time. I was more in like I was building a lot of microservices.
Okay.
So my first thing that I did was actually to try and deploy a Spring Boot application to a EC2 instance. That was the first thing I did, and obviously, like after that, we started the entire journey, right? So once I deployed it to EC2, then okay, I saw okay, there's something called Elastic Beanstalk, which made it really really easy. And a little while later, like we were using containers a lot, and then I discovered like Fargate. It was not Fargate; it was ECS at that particular point in time, right? Elastic Container Service. There was no Fargate at that particular point in time. So I started playing with ECS, and yeah, slowly I kind of understood Kubernetes, and then yeah, so it's like I'm a kind of a hands-on guy, right? So it's like for me, I like deploying applications. So I pick up whatever applications I have, I try to put them into the cloud, and that's how I learned initially. So that was my like way of learning.
Yeah, yeah, sure, sure. I just want to add one thing here, like the same kind of interaction I have back in 2016 because I was trying to install Python. I want to make the Django application, but I'm not sure how to configure it properly in Nginx as well as I between some kind of middleware is required. So that is where I found also the Beanstalk documentation was much easy. So again, it was just a practice, and I want to make a blog of my friend, and he's a Python developer. So understand, like, yeah. So Beanstalk is always, yeah, the services which is making a life easy. Even I'm a non-developer guy. I am not into development, but yeah. Okay, so what was the year like when you started? Can you share around
This,
here?
yeah, this was around 2015, 2016 kind of a time frame, right? So it's like almost 5 years now. So
Okay.
yeah, that's when I started my journey, and slowly, like, it was important for me to play around with one cloud in depth. So I started learning AWS in depth, and slowly we kind of branched out. I mean, like, for me, a lot of like one of the questions I'm frequently asked is, okay, how do you go from one cloud to another, right? How do I learn two clouds, three clouds? I would say, actually, from my journey, what I've learned is focusing on one cloud at the start is very, very important. It's not easy to switch from one cloud to another cloud when you are early in your journey. So if you have just started with the cloud, it's difficult to try and learn multiple clouds. But once you have some experience with the cloud, once you spend 2 or 3 years with the cloud, then it becomes much more easier to switch to another cloud. You would see that actually, if you are good at AWS, you would be able to easily switch over to Google Cloud or Azure pretty easily. It's not such a big journey if you are already comfortable with it.
Okay, I believe, yeah, you pick a very important point that, yeah, pick one cloud. But okay, few year back, I can say that, yeah, it was different, that maybe few services, again the foundation services was not directly comparable. But let's say if someone want to start today now, which cloud you will suggest? Is there any preference you have now, because you learn most of the major public cloud? So what is your preference?
See, if you are looking at, if an enterprise is evaluating the cloud, which one to go to, that's a completely different equation altogether. They have a lot of other things to factors to consider before they choose, right? So it's not just the technology, but also relationships which really matter there, right? So it's all you are into sales, so you know how that works. Like, if a learner is choosing the cloud today, right? So I would think it's a pretty simple choice. I would say, if there is a specific cloud which is being made use of in a place where you are working, right? If you are working in a specific place and they're making use of Google Cloud or Azure or AWS, just go and learn that. You don't need to spend a lot of time analyzing that. That's not the important question at all. Actually, which cloud to learn is not the important question at all. So if a cloud is being used at a specific place, go ahead. I mean, you have the practice. I mean, you get the live experience of working on it. So go ahead, start learning it and see how it works in your project. But if you are not at such a place and you have to pick, I generally say just toss a coin and pick one, or talk to your friends, see your circle, what people around you are recommending, and choose one. Right. So yeah, pick one of the clouds. The important question is not which cloud. The important question is how well do you know it. So
Great.
just get started.
Yeah, I think, yes, this is really important, because that is where most of us even stuck, that from where to start, whether what's the difference. But as you mentioned, a kind of a example, that toss a coin, maybe it make a life easy for someone to decide. Again, it's a what I can say, maybe, yeah, let's try. uh, I request everyone who is watching right now, or maybe watch in the future, do that, follow this, for sure it will help. Okay, so Ranga, can you share that what is your learning pattern? That, yes, you mentioned that you deploy application on Beanstalk, so that is kind of a one, you can say, service. But how you develop your confidence, or you can say the how you clarify yourself the advanced concepts of, let's say, AWS? So what was the learning pattern? How much time you started putting, or what kind of resources few years back it was available? And last, that what motivate you, that you started building the courses?
Right. So I think there were two different answers, right? How do I learn, and how do, like, what motivated me to create courses, right? Those are the two questions.
Yeah.
So how do I learn? Like for me, like learning is all about uh, two things. Like one is understanding the big picture, right? Whenever I want to get into something, I want to understand why why it is important. Like for example, like I think probably cloud, the answer to why is much more easier. But let's say we pick up something like Kubernetes or Docker or Terraform, right? So I would want to understand why that tool is really really useful. I want to understand what is the concept behind that, right? So if I'm talking about Terraform, I want to understand the concepts of infrastructure as code. Why infrastructure as code? What are the advantages? How things happened before without infrastructure as code, and how things would change with infrastructure as code. Or if I have actually practical experience of doing things earlier with the same thing, I would compare how I was doing things before versus how I would do things with the new tool or the new framework or new solution I have in hands. So for me, that's important. Getting a big picture on why I'm making use of it, what are the advantages of it, how it would change how I was doing things. That's the perspective I would want. And also the second part is I would want to try it out, right? So probably like after I spend a few hours trying to work out what are the important things I would want to focus on. Obviously, like let's say if I'm picking a specific cloud, right? It's impossible to go deep into it on the first day. The important thing is to get into a high level overview so that you can decide which areas are interesting to you, which areas are going to make a difference. I frequently use the 80-20 rule, right? So it's like I try to identify the 20% of things which really, really are important about that specific thing. For example,
Okay.
when I was learning AWS, for me, I was a compute guy. I was not a database guy. So I was a compute guy. So I wanted to look at cloud in that perspective. So I was more focused on the compute services, right? So anything that I would want to learn, I would want to actually pick up the right 20% and then focus on it. And yeah, that's the journey I take with any learning I do. So I would want to bring a little bit of practical elements. I love to read books. So if I'm probably learning AWS, probably I would have 5 books lying around me. Like I like books. I like watching a lot of videos on YouTube. For example, AWS reInvent and those kind of things are gold. I mean, those are not easy to find. If you do a search for AWS on YouTube, those would not be the first things which would come up. But things like AWS reInvent videos, those are awesome videos to learn. Like if I want to understand something in depth, that's where I would go. So get a high level picture, identify where you want to go in deep, and then go deep in those specific areas. That's how I learn. Right. So
Yeah.
getting to the second question on to like what motivated to create courses, it was like I was working with a lot of developers and I saw that I had special skills in how to make things simple. And
Okay.
I thought, okay, this might be something which would be interesting. I started a YouTube channel. There was a little bit of traction. And then I thought, okay, why not take this full time? Right. So why not try and become a full time instructor? And I was exploring a lot of platforms at that particular point in time. And then I found Udemy. So, like, Udemy was the first place I really made sufficient income so that I can actually leave my job and become a full time instructor. So yeah, like that was kind of a summary of my journey, right? So I was very passionate about technology. I knew there was a lot of things I know. So it kind of took me into that
Wow.
space.
Wow. So yeah, okay. Obviously, I can see your background, the love, your love for books, especially. I think you will may have a big kind of a library. Okay, great,
Absolutely.
great to know. And really, I would like to appreciate you because I am trying to create the videos, and I understand how much efforts is required to make even a few videos, how many editing and all this. But you made a multiple of courses, so really appreciate, and great to know about your entrepreneurship journey, that you find the valuable thing which you are trying to add in the society, especially in the IT community, from the YouTube to your full-time work. And really, I see in some comments that people have gone through your courses and really appreciate the content which you have built. So good to know. So yeah, so let's talk bit on the DevOps side, because that is what the area, because we mentioned about Spring Boot, Docker, Kubernetes, all these words are there whenever, let's say, even nowadays, if a newbie or a fresher join the organization, if he or she hear the word DevOps, so it become what I can say, a new norm, that everyone started talking about Docker and Kubernetes. Okay, so where actually DevOps fit? So what is your point of view of the DevOps and how a person should learn? You can break it into from the experienced person point of view or as well as the fresher.
Yeah, sure. If you look at DevOps, right, I like to say DevOps is nothing new, right? It's um, like if
2008,
you
I
look at
believe.
how we,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
I mean not 2008. I would say even 1970s, 1980s. I would
Wow.
say that's so. I mean, it's like this, right? So when we are talking about software development, uh, like let's look at important things, right? So one thing which is very very important is communication, right? Earlier in the waterfall model, there was a document which was written down and thrown out, and a development team or an architecture team would pick that document. There was no proper communication. So during this journey in the last 5 decades, one of the things which we did was to improve communication. Like we with Agile, we said, okay, let's bring the development team and the business team together. Let's form a Scrum team, kind of, and then like that improved the communication between those aspects. And with DevOps, what we are doing is bringing the operation. So we are improving the communication between the teams so that everybody, like it's like a T-shaped team which has all the skills that are needed to do a specific product. So that the communication in the team is really really good, right? So that's one aspect which DevOps focuses on, which is nothing new, right? The second aspect which we focus on in DevOps is automation, right? We try to like when we talked about Agile, we try to automate continuous integration, continuous deployment. And with DevOps, like what we are focusing on is the next steps. Like we automated sufficiently, continuous integration became a norm, continuous deployment became a norm. So let's focus on the next value added thing, which is to create environments, right? Why can't we automate creating environments? That's where we talked about infrastructure as code. It's just the next step in automation, right? And then we saw, okay, now like we want to like be more innovative. We would want to continuously release things. We'd want to be able to like monitor. Like we brought a lot of automation into monitoring side of things, distributed tracing, distributed logging, a lot of things, right? Those are the elements we talk about typically when we talk about DevOps. And in this journey, what we found was containers and container orchestration help to generalize a lot of things, right? So if I'm having, let's say, a Java application, like let's say microservices architecture became, I mean, if I go back 5 years back, microservices architecture was just picking up. And we saw that there were microservices which were built in Java, like Python, or a lot of languages. And the way you deploy these microservices is different because each language has its own way. And that's where, okay, how do we, like, that's where Docker or containers really, really help. Because with containers, once you have an image, once it has everything that you need to run it, you can run it the same way anywhere. And therefore, it became easy to standardize. Right? So now you have a container image. It does not matter what it has. It might be a Java microservice, it might be a Python microservice. I can standardize all around it, right? I can standardize my deployment processes. I can standardize my logging, distributed tracing, anything that I would want to do, I can standardize. And that's where we talk about containers. Container orchestration was the next step because now you had just like we'll have multiple containers and multiple containers belonging to multiple microservices, multiple versions. You'd want to start managing them. So that's the journey towards container orchestration. So for me, it's just a small journey towards getting better at building software. For me, DevOps is nothing but our journey, next step in our journey towards building software.
Okay. So then, like, what's your advice for the people who are just started their career as a developer? So
Right.
how anyone can learn about DevOps? What is
Yeah.
like what steps should they take?
Yeah. So the first thing I would recommend is get good at programming. Right. A lot of people actually directly jump into things like cloud and DevOps without even having the fundamentals right. Right. Cloud or DevOps is an add-on skill. It's not the primary skill. You have to be a developer. You have to be a tester. You have to be a good business analyst, and only then the cloud comes into picture or DevOps comes into picture. Right. So be good at programming. Once you're good at programming, today I would say if you want to explore the DevOps side of things, start with the cloud. I would say start with picking up one of the clouds because if you want to learn continuous integration, if you want to learn continuous deployment, or if you want to deploy a container, today the best place to deploy it is on the cloud. So pick up a cloud, start learning the cloud, and like slowly, like once you are comfortable with the cloud, then you get into continuous integration, continuous deployment, and try and play with a little bit of containers, try and create a Kubernetes cluster. I mean, a lot of these things, if you go to the cloud and try and create a Kubernetes cluster, you would start understanding what it is. That you don't really need to have a lot of theory background. Just go to the cloud, see the screens for Kubernetes, and you'll start understanding it a lot more. So today I would advise a more practical way. So I would say create a cloud account, free account, go ahead, start playing with it, and you would learn. Like that would be a really fast approach.
Right, right. Okay, yeah, you mentioned few minutes ago about monitoring and logging, and I believe from my experience that most of the people who started learning about cloud as well as the DevOps part, how to strategize and what is actually DevOps, people ignore the value proposition of monitoring and logging. So, can you share your point of view, like what is the real importance and and
Yeah.
how a person should focus on learning all these things?
Absolutely. See, let's pick up one of the large enterprises, right? Let's say Amazon. How do they know if a specific microservice instance is down, right? It should not be some user reporting that okay, this microservice is down. It should be or I'm facing a problem. It should be more of an automated way. So I should have an automated way of finding out if a specific service is down, right? That's what we call monitoring. Basically, we keep like we kind of poll, or I mean, there are multiple ways you can monitor applications, but you kind of every few minutes check what's happening with your application and see if it's like up or not. So it's very very important because you like today businesses want to offer 99.99% uptime, right? So that's only possible if you automate most of the monitoring and things. And like if you talk about logging, right? Uh, Today, like with the microservices architecture, a specific request might actually be flowing through multiple microservices. And a developer now he gets a like probably somebody's notified that okay something is not working. How does he go and figure out which microservice has a problem, right? So that's where logging, like monitoring, all those things become very very important because solving problems in production is not as easy as solving problems in a development environment because you cannot debug applications in production, right? So you need additional information that you can use to solve the problems. uh, if you don't have that information, then the entire process slows down. Like so monitoring and like monitoring, logging, tracing, these are really
Yes.
really important when it comes to, I mean, it is not something specific to the cloud. I mean, that's number one thing, right? It's
Mhm.
something which we have been doing for decades, right? Whenever I build an application, whenever I write some code, I would always be thinking, what is the kind of information that somebody who's debugging a problem with it will need at a later point in time, right? So, like if you look at a few years back, we used to suppress exceptions. And when you suppress exceptions, exception trace is not in the log, you don't know which line of code threw the exception. And it becomes very, very difficult to debug. So it's just a journey. I mean, I would say like these things are important throughout, like for a long period of time. And with cloud, the additional advantage is that things are much more simpler today. Earlier, if I wanted to do distributed tracing or distributed logging, those are much difficult to implement than how it is today.
Agree, agree. Yeah, yeah. Just to share, like even from a user point of view, our expectations also now change. Maybe a 10 year back, a website or any application is opening or responding in 10 seconds. It was okay, but now we are living in the world of maybe a seconds or maybe a milliseconds. We want like an instant response. If it is not there,
Absolutely.
then we started posting it on Twitter or reviews that a application is unresponsive, this and that. So that is where like really guys try to understand, don't ignore the monitoring and logging part. That will play a major role in your entire life cycle of your application development, deployment, and improving. It's like that is where the DevOps as well as cloud is accelerating it, and it is adding value. So I would like to cover a one question. Let's talk from the chat. So opportunities for fresher is more in cloud or DevOps. Can you share your
Right.
view?
Yeah. As I said, Chirag, for
Yeah.
me, cloud is somebody else's computer and DevOps is nothing new. It's the same process that we are going on, right? So when a fresher is coming in, he does
Mhm.
not have a choice of cloud or DevOps. Like the first thing is he should be good at programming, right? He should be good at what he's doing. And then the journey probably today, like to do DevOps on the cloud is much easier. So I would say start focusing on the cloud first and then probably explore the DevOps services which are present in the cloud. So DevOps for me is now just like it's the process, right? It's the entire process. If you are deploying applications to the cloud, there are a lot of cloud services which makes DevOps really, really easy, right? So if you are talking about AWS, you can go for code pipeline. If you're making use of Google Cloud, like you have Cloud Build. If you're using Azure, you have Azure DevOps. So these are continuous integration tools which are present, continuous integration, continuous deployment tools which are present in the cloud platforms. So once you understand the cloud a little bit, you can go and play with those CI/CD services. And once you're comfortable with that, probably you can start exploring a little bit more on the monitoring, on the like logging, tracing kind of aspects around there, right? So it's kind of a like step-by-step journey.
Yeah, I believe some fiber issue happened on my end. Just give me a
Okay.
second. Let me see. Yeah, because see, whatsoever the cool technology we can talk about, I believe that this problem still exists in every part of
Absolutely.
world. It can happen anytime. So I think maybe now connection is getting stable. Yeah, apologies for that, but
Yeah.
I believe I missed some part. I believe you covered on that side. So yes, just another question. Let's talk this question. I believe it will be helpful for the people who are right now watching as well as in the future. Let's go a bit detail on this side. uh, Rohit is asking, for the fresher, which cloud is good to learn who has not started yet with cloud?
Right. I think this is a question which we discussed earlier as well,
Yes.
Chirag,
Yes.
right? So, I mean, as I said, toss a coin, pick up. Like the best place, the best cloud to start would be the cloud where you think you will get the best possible guidance in your nearby circle. So, if you're in a project where you are using AWS, go and learn AWS. If you have friends who know AWS, go and start AWS, right? So that's how, like, wherever you think you will get the best possible guidance. Or if you are in a country like you're talking about Chirag, right? So you said there are specific countries where AWS is the preferred cloud. There are specific countries where GCP. So if you're in a country where AWS is the preferred cloud, probably you can start with AWS, right? So it's again, this choice is not really important. Which cloud you choose is not the important thing. It's about getting good at that cloud. And if you look at AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud, Google Cloud is the fastest growing cloud today. Like AWS and Azure are the top two. Which one is number one is repeatable, right? So these three are really, really one of like the three choices out there. Probably, I mean, unless you'd want to go into Oracle or Alibaba, but for me, these three would be the ones where you would start. And if you pick any of these, and if you are a master of any of these, I mean, if you are really good at any of these, I don't think there should be a problem in finding opportunities.
Right, right. Yeah, just to warn, like, just I would like to share also from my point of view that yes, geography matters a lot, but for a fresher, you can pick any of the cloud because there was a day, as Ranga mentioned, that he started back in 2015, he started deploying, and it was early days for GCP and even Microsoft Azure. It was kind of few services was not so easy or so not so much customization was available what was available in AWS even at that time. But
Hmm.
last 2 to 3 years, I can share from my personal experience, the foundational services are now kind of, again, there is no apple to apple comparison here, but the coverage is there if you want to. And the important part here is, for a fresher, you need to know 4 to 5 things. I always say networking must. Okay, even if you are a developer, you need to know networking. Without networking, the survival is tough because we can't say that networking is someone's job. I believe we are living in a connected world, and especially from last 2 years, we are connected via the internet. So we need to know the basic networking. We have a smart devices in our hand. I believe each person is holding or having a multiple devices, and everything is connected the network. Try to understand network is the most important part, and it will help you to build the confidence. Even if you are a developer, try to learn the basic part of IPv4, and then know about the storage. What kind of different storages are available? Again, no longer the day we are talking about HDD. There are endless things from the performance point of view, from the throughput point of view, from the latency. Many factors need to be considered. Again, as a fresher, all those things has been covered in the academics, and trust
Hmm.
me, I follow few of my academic book back in 2018 to refresh my concept, which I missed in my college days because I thought it will not be helpful, especially again
Hmm.
the IT books I'm saying. IT subjects. Okay, so try to learn from that. And the another thing is, it's just not about the technology. Think from the business point of view. Maybe in my next question, I want to hear from Ranga also, as he started his entrepreneurship journey. So I will cover from that point. But guys, think from the business point of view. Geography matters. Again, in which organization you are going to join, try to find also that. If you are not at that stage right now, that you are like, let's say you're not in final year, or you are not going to start the career. If you are in first year, second year, third year, or any other course, try to do a basic googling that what cloud is going. Just try to read. There are a lot of free market surveys or reports are there, like Gartner is publishing, Forrester is publishing. So read around that and make your own mindset. And in the last talk, I would like to just take a few words from the last talk. The Kaushik was there. Kaushik, he started his career back in 2012. Again, the talk is in the channel. So just to share for myself, please subscribe and watch all the video, because every weekend I'm going to share this talk. So he shared about, he built a small group in his organization which expand out of his organization, and every week they pick some topic, because 7 years back there was not too deep documentation for AWS was available. And nowadays I can tell you the documentation is superb regardless of any cloud. I love the documentation of GCP, the way it's structured. Same with AWS and same with Microsoft. And I read Alibaba documentation a lot. So
Absolutely.
it's all about what you want, and pick. Start with the basic foundational thing, and then go take a bottom to top approach. I took top to bottom approach, because I started my career as a cloud without knowing the IT. Like as Ranga mentioned about the programming part, even my background is computer science, but I was
Right.
not interested in programming. So, but
Absolutely.
I choose that not to be as a developer, but into the customer facing role. So I believe, Rohit, this will help, and the people who are listening, that no cloud is like, there is no point that we say which cloud to choose nowadays. Anyone you can start with, and it just replicate. That is where, again, if I say in the form of application, there are some frameworks. If I take example of Xamarin was few years very famous, that you can write a code for the Android application or some Windows phone application few years back, and 70 to 60 to 70 to 60 to 70% code can be reused to make it iOS application. So at the same concept, please try. I think nowadays something React or Flutter. I'm not too much into development, but I heard like some Flutter talk that yes, it is giving a beautiful experience. Try to understand, build your foundation strong, and most of those concepts will be applicable universally for any cloud platform. Try to replicate. Only the terminology and user experience may change, but base remains same. And then try to build your confidence on the top of that. So that's
Absolutely.
more like a strategy. Okay.
Yeah, Shreyak. I think just to add on to what you were saying, right? So don't spend, I mean, time box the choosing of the cloud. The most important thing I would say is uh, time box, right? So say I will take a week to pick which cloud to focus, I mean, to choose which cloud, and then don't think about it. Right? The biggest challenge I see today is analysis paralysis, right? So you keep analyzing things for so long that you actually don't learn anything at the end, right? So it's important whenever, I mean, the biggest skill today, like today, I think we are in such a information rich world that whether you want to learn through books, whether you are like you like to watch YouTube video, there's a lot of free content out there as well. Awesome documentation from the clouds, awesome courses which are free, which are offered on YouTube. So it's all about yeah, choosing what to learn and finding what works for you. I think if you are able to figure out a way where you can have a framework for choosing what to learn next and figuring out what works for you in the technology world today, it's that those are the two important things that you need to figure out. And these things will differ from person to person, right? How I choose next thing to learn would be different from another person out there. I like reading books. Somebody might want to watch videos to do that. So figure out what works for you. What is the best learning thing? Because if you are in the IT world, you have to learn. I mean, not just today. It's not just today. 5 years down the line, I would be talking the same thing with Chirag. saying, okay, we have to learn. We have to
Yeah.
learn, right? So there are new things which will be there. So yeah, figuring out what is the efficient way uh, for you, I think that also is something which is important.
Okay, okay. Yeah, and just to one maybe add your tip here that figure out the two best or two maybe most famous cloud platform in your geography and toss the coin.
Yeah,
As you
exactly.
mentioned. Okay, okay, great. Yeah. Now I just want to come on the business point of view that like you started your as a you can say full-time instructor journey as an entrepreneurship. So how you take a call or like how you decide that which course you need to produce next because obviously it's not randomly that yeah today this technology like you know this technology and you need to build the course. So what is the business point of view? Can you share so that I just want to give that thought to everyone that it's not about a technology, it's not about cloud DevOps, but the business aspect is the most important part. Then only the cloud or DevOps or maybe a emerging technology will fit to solve the problem. So
Absolutely.
please
So
share.
I mean, like, see, if I look at it as a business, I've made a lot of mistakes. So I mean, nobody is perfect in choosing which course to create next. Uh, it's something which you pick up as you go, and I don't think even today I'm good at it. So uh, and that's the most difficult question, right? Which course to create next is the most difficult question. Like that, I have a team who tries to figure out the answer to that question, right? So it's not just me. I have a like team of experts who actually tries to figure out, okay, what's the next thing that we would want to focus on. Now, just taking a step back, right? So if a few years back when I started this journey, it was not so complex. For me, like I had a lot of experience with Java, Spring Boot. I had experience building REST APIs. I had building experience building microservices, full stack applications, and I had a lot of experience with the other aspects like unit testing and all that stuff. So it was a very easy thing. I said my goal was in 2 years I wanted to have everything that a Java developer wants to learn. Like I want to cover at least 20% of the things which Java developers use 80% of the time. So that was my goal. My vision was I wanted to have courses around everything that covers a Java developer who's at the start of the journey to 20 years experience, 25 years experience. So starting from programming to let's say architecture, right? So those are the aspects I wanted to cover, and it was easy. Like I took 2 years and I had every course out there. So we had the Java programming course, Spring Boot course, APIs, microservices, full stack development. We had 25 courses, unit testing, all the courses. So that was easy. That was the easiest part of the journey, right? So then the question was, where do we go next, right? So that was the easy part because there was no big choice to make. I knew the entire roadmap for 20 courses. It was just execution. And I had very good knowledge on every aspect of those things, right? So it's like very easy at that particular point in time. Now the difficult question was where 2018 timeframe I wanted to decide, okay, I knew automation testing, I knew Python, I knew cloud. Where should we go, right? I mean, which place should we venture into, right? So that was difficult part. We tried automation testing, we failed. We tried Python, we did not have success with it. I like tried even creating AWS courses. Like I had experience with AWS, Azure. I mean, not Azure. I had experience with AWS and Google Cloud for the most part, right? Azure was something which I picked up a little later. So,
Okay.
like among AWS and Google Cloud, I felt Google Cloud was not yet ready. Not a lot of people were like willing to learn at that particular point in time. So we started with AWS, and it did not work out because there was huge competition, right? I mean, there were a lot of people like A Cloud Guru. There were a lot of other people at that particular point in time starting AWS courses. Stephen Marik has his own set of courses. So it was not just. I mean, so selecting a course, a lot of things, other things go into picture, right? It's not just what you are an expert on, but where is the gap? Like that's the question I think about. So where is the gap, right? So which space is there a gap where we can try and fill, and that gap should match with the expertise of mine and my team.
Wow. Yeah, yeah. Understood.
So I mean, like for example, data engineering is not my area of expertise, or artificial intelligence is not my area of expertise. I don't want. I mean, even if there's a gap there, I don't want to create a course there, right? But cloud, compute, and all those things are our strong points. So if there is a gap in that space, that's where we try and fill. So it's a question of we having the right expertise in the team, plus there being a gap in like courses or in like there's a demand, but let's say the demand is not met. Yeah, it's like any other business, right? It's the same. Like for any business, it's demand versus supply.
Exactly. Yeah, the main point we need to understand, like you mentioned very well, there is a gap which need to be figure it out, and I believe that rule can be applied in each and every situation that anyone wants to learn. So, and which technology, so the gap will always be there. It may be again someone is a programmer but don't know about maybe the infrastructure part, someone is too good in infrastructure but don't know about the application architecture, but having the basic understanding, I believe that will be important. So guys, again, try to apply this in your own learning curve, that where is the gap. So according to that, you can do your time management, that where you really need to put the effort. Like Ranga mentioned about 80-20 rule, so I believe that is applicable on each one of us. And I am also taking the such kind of thing, what is my strength and area, and where I need to put efforts to prepare my, you can say, my work for myself or more advanced concepts. So really appreciate for the sharing. So I have a 2 to 3 questions. Let's cover on that part. I think this will be helpful and valuable for everyone. So Hema is asking, after completing GCP associate certificate exam but currently not working with any cloud, so how should I progress with Google Cloud?
Okay. Okay. So I guess GCP Associate would mean GCP Associate Cloud Engineer, the A
Yeah,
certification,
yes,
right?
yes.
So yeah, I think so. So hopefully during the GCP Associate Cloud, the A certification, you had practical knowledge on the cloud. It's not just the certification, right? I mean, for me, like certification is just a paper, right? It's not really the important part. It's about the knowledge which you gain while you are preparing for the certification. That is the most important part. So if you have really good practical knowledge with Google Cloud, I think that's a really, really good start, right? So now I think it's about trying to find out, like, I think, like, uh, it depends on your experience. If you are somebody who has a lot of architecture experience, probably I would recommend you to go with the architect certification. But if you don't have any experience with architecture, probably the architect certification will not add you any value at all, because like just clearing the architect certification, and you don't have any architecture experience real time, then that would not add any value. So I think if you have architecture experience, you can consider that. Otherwise, I would recommend you to, like, if Google Cloud is your interest, if you have good knowledge on it, I would recommend you to search for jobs related to that, right? See what job profile is nearer to what skills you have, and try and apply to that. So apply for Google Cloud jobs. I think once you have the certification, once you have the right skills, the only way to enhance those skills is to build projects, and the best place to build projects is on a job, right? So try and get a job where you could go and use the skills that you acquired.
Okay. I believe, yeah, that's a great advice, that finding a job and applying, that will enhance more and more skill, and then the confidence level will be for sure up. And yeah, okay. So just another question which I found, maybe this will be helpful for each and every one for of us, that Shivani is asking that suggestion on how to watch, make notes, long courses on learning platform like Udemy and get most out of it. So you are a Udemy master. Please share that. Yeah, how we can get most out most out of your courses, and yeah.
To be really frank, I hate long courses. I really hate long courses. So like if you look at my courses, I
Mhm.
try to keep them very short, right? So if you look at, for example, I just take an example of Spring Boot. If you look at my competitors' courses on Spring Boot, they will be 60 hours, 70 hours. And my courses would be 10, 12 hours, not more than that. Because I always believe in the 20-80 rule. I don't want to create a course where I teach everything about Spring Boot. I want to create a course where I talk about the practical aspects of Spring Boot which I use in a project. Let's say I would want to build a REST API with Spring Boot, right? So I want to build a course where like you uh, understand how to build a REST API with Spring Boot. Not about every nitty gritty about Spring Boot is not important. The same with the cloud, right? It's about for me as a course creator, one of the most important decisions we need to make is to see what is the most important value add. Like time is also precious, right? It's not like people have unlimited amount of time. Like I believe actually, like let's say you are spending 1,000 rupees to buy a course and you are spending 50 hours to do it. 50 hours is much bigger value than the thousand rupees. So it's about right. So I mean, now I think that discussion aside, getting to the actual question,
Yeah.
um, I like writing a lot. Like whenever I'm learning something, I have paper, pen everywhere around. Like if I actually show you this room, there'll be like 10 or 11 books where I actually keep summarizing all that I learned. So that's how I learn, right? I keep making notes. I feel that whenever I watch something, whenever like, for example, after this session, probably if I had two things I learned, probably I'll write it down somewhere so that I remember them for a long time, right? For me, like whenever I'm doing something, like I write it down and also I try to apply it practically. And if I'm like, for example, if I'm learning a concept, I'll try and use it and apply it practically, and that's how I would learn. But the problem with the long courses I see is if I'm doing a 50-hour course, if I want to apply everything I learn in that course, probably it takes 50 into 6 hours, 7 hours. Yeah, which might be very, very tough.
Yes,
So yeah, it's
absolutely.
about also I think figuring out. Yeah, I think it's all about figuring out what works for you. If you think uh, like today I was actually having a like yesterday I was actually recording a session with Kaushik from Java Brains, and
Okay.
also we had Shiva. Like these guys are really, really like experienced guys. I mean, 20 years of experience in the IT industry, and
Okay.
each one of them had their own way of making notes. For example, I write down the notes. Shiva, for example, he actually has a digital note taking kind of application which he makes use of. And Kaushik has the habit of collecting code snippets. So again, this is not something which is individual, I mean, which is uh, common across, right? We three are learning continuously, but we have individual approaches. So again, it's about finding out what works for you. For me, writing down works.
Sure, sure. Yeah, same. Like I agree. Everyone has a different style. So till that, I am carrying a 6 to 7 notebooks with me wherever I'm moving. So I move a different part in India. So that stack
Right.
is with me right now. My other notebook is here. I can show that I have a notebook
Exactly.
and I write. So, but yeah, recently I also moved to the digital note part. So on the application Notability and using the Apple Pencil, I'm trying to make a note. So some kind of a fun I'm trying to do, but still I'm missing that pen and paper part. It's something, yeah, I love. So great. Okay. Just one question last, and then we can move to the quiz part. And before that, guys, just want to share. I will drop the Ranga's YouTube channel as well as Udemy courses link in the description. It's right now not in the description, but I will. And as well as his LinkedIn profile link is there. You can connect with him so that later, if there is any query, you can directly reach out to him. If any, again, feedback is always welcome. You can drop a message to me as well as Ranga so that what kind of topic next time you want to hear, because I'm going to continue this activity on every weekend so that we all will be together in the part of community as well as learn together, because everyone has a different experience, like as Ranga is having a experience in programming and especially the Java and Spring Boot, which I have never done. I know Java. I still think that Java is kind of a lovely language for me because I took my entire 6 month training in that while I was doing in my graduation. So connect, feedback, and last question. Let's talk, and after that we will start the quiz part. So WebHub is asking how to be expert in Kubernetes and Terraform on GCP. Any good material available for GKE or Terraform? I believe that is your core area, so take it.
The easiest answer is take our DevOps course. I think it covers both Kubernetes and Terraform on GCP. But okay, to really uh, look at Kubernetes and Terraform, right? So like Terraform is something which is cloud neutral, right? I mean, it's not like you can use Terraform to actually provision infrastructure on like AWS, Azure, and GCP. The scripts would be different. It will not be the same script which you'd be using to provision infrastructure, but it would be different, right? So, yeah, I think uh, Terraform's documentation is really, really good. I think that's one place you can definitely go. If you want to start learning Terraform, I'm sure there is a beginner tutorial offered by Terraform itself, specific to GCP. So go and search for it and start. That would be one place I would recommend for you to start on Terraform. On the second one on Kubernetes, I think Kubernetes, I think, as you said, GKE is the service, managed service in Google for Google Cloud for Kubernetes. I think, yeah, I would like probably on our YouTube channel, like if you go to the in28minutes YouTube channel and if you search for Kubernetes, you should find a good half an hour introduction to Kubernetes and also a practical introduction to GKE. I think that's one place you can go to, other than obviously the official documentation, right? So I believe on the Kubernetes side, there are a few playgrounds available where you can try directly playing with Kubernetes, right? So probably that's one place where you can go and start learning Kubernetes, because when you learn Kubernetes, it does not matter whether you are deploying it on GKE or AKS or EKS. That does not really matter, because at the like you have a cluster, and you need to focus on understanding the concepts of Kubernetes first, rather than like what unique things GKE offers, right? So
Okay.
probably the best place to start would be going to the Kubernetes documentation page. There are a few hands-on labs out there, so probably you can start with them. I think those would be quick start ways. You can spend a couple of hours there, and you can get started with understanding at a high level what Kubernetes can do for you.
Right, right. I believe yes. See, the knowing the fundamental of each and everything is important. Then managed service is making a life easy. Like as you
Right.
mentioned about GKE, AKS, or EKS, if the core part is clear, especially like networking is a bit complex, I believe, in the world of Kubernetes. Like when the overlay network came into picture, we are already doing a virtual networking, and then inside it's some kind of a CNI plugins, and then maybe the overlay part. I believe the
Absolutely.
documentation gave the more clarity, and then someone can try in their own environment, and then yeah.
Yeah, Chirag, I
Okay.
think one
Yeah.
thing is from a business perspective, they should focus on the most important 20%, right? Networking is important, but not as a beginner, not when you are starting off on something, right? I mean,
Yes.
especially with respect to Kubernetes. I mean, networking with respect to cloud is very, very important, because it's one big difference from a data center to cloud. But
Yeah.
as far as Kubernetes is concerned, like you would probably start with, okay, what is a cluster? How do you deploy something to a Kubernetes thing? So yeah, probably start with the fundamentals first.
Okay. Okay. Just a last question from my side. So, what is the idea behind, or what is the vision behind in 28 minute? The reason why I'm asking, the first time when I found your course, it was mentioned that GCP, okay, Google Cloud Certified Professional Architect in 28 minutes. I thought how a person can make the so many concept in 28 minutes. Then I opened the course and it was few hour long. So can you share like what is the entire vision behind in 28 minutes?
Yeah,
Because
sure.
that is what you are known for. Because I believe most of the people don't know about your name. Yeah, but if someone say in market in 28 minutes, oh, that guy. So yeah.
Exactly. So, I mean, one thing was I wanted to find something catchy, right? So, in 28 minutes, you are remembering it. So, I find a lot of people find it very, very easy to remember in 28 minutes. So, that's one. And the actual reason was more like I'm a great believer in continuous learning, right? So, I believe that if you want to be successful, if you want to be in the top 5 percentile of people who are doing similar jobs as you, the biggest differentiator would be the ability to learn. And the best way to learn, I found, is to spend half an hour every day learning something new. Not just the job, but actually something other than the job. Try and learn something for half an hour every day, 30 minutes every day. So I was actually searching for in 30 minutes. That was my initial name, which I was searching for, but I was not able to find the social media profiles, the
Okay.
domain name, and all that stuff, right? It's not just the enterprise name, it's also I need to get a lot of list of things. And at that time, I was not making any money out of it. So I did not want to spend money to buy a domain from somebody else, right? So it
Okay.
was like, so I searched and found the nearest one to in 30 minutes, which I found was in 28 minutes. So that's
Great.
how we, like, I did not want to go up. I wanted to go down, because I wanted to make it easy. Don't learn for 28 minutes a day.
Great, great. Yeah, I believe you touch a very important point. Few years back, like I was a big fan of CBT nuggets. Okay, I started learning about Linux as well as cloud. Maybe in
Mhm.
2013, 14, CBT nuggets was the only place where the detailed AWS courses was there. I personally purchased. It's a, at that time it was super expensive for me as a student. And Jeremy Chiora, if anyone know about Jeremy Chiora, he's kind of a godfather in the world of Cisco, and he made a lot of awesome courses. Now, as you mentioned about in the last 5 year, lot of, you can say, the training provider and training player in the market focus on the cloud courses, but it is something that from that platform I learned about this 30 minutes rule, that if you put
Mm.
30 minutes learning effort a day, it will for sure improve your learning curve and the conceptual. It's not about that you learn 10 things in a day, learn one thing,
Absolutely.
and each one thing each and every day, and then it will improve. So
Absolutely.
really appreciate that you implement that and you got your unique name in 28. Now I got. Otherwise, I was like, how a person can teach GCP architect in 28 minutes? Okay, thanks for clarification. I believe, yeah, time to start quiz. We are on time. And hey, guys, everyone, get ready with your mobile phone. So there will be a giveaway. The three people will get a coupon course from Ranga. He made a course about GCP Cloud Digital Leader, which is an entry level certification. And I personally sat for the beta exam of that. And it will give you the mixed match of technology as well as a business point of view. So you can say 60% business point of view and technology is 40%. But it will be a good starting point that how we need to position a cloud in our organization. And the course is in detail, and recently it got updated. So let's start it. Let me share my screen, and I believe this time I will not make a error or mistake because I am new user for the Mac operating system, guys, and I am still facing some issues. All right. Okay, so please scan this code, scan this QR code, or you can go to menti.com and enter this code is 77044112. Meanwhile, let me see if I can. Just give me a second, guys. I hope this code is available. Let me bring this on this side and let me enjoy this. Okay, this, and yeah. Okay, so I'm waiting for you guys. So as soon as I will see that you started coming here, yeah, one people join here. So just wait there. It will say instructions, but wait there for a few seconds and show some love. Two people is there, guys. Show some love so that we can complete. Yeah, that's yeah. Thanks for all the love, guys. Seven people, eight people join. So I believe the quiz is going to be fun. So you can choose the name also in the next, like as soon as I will move next, it will ask for the name. I request please enter your correct name so that it will helpful for us to reach out the winners easily. Okay, I believe 10 people, 11 people there. So let's start. Okay, so everyone got the cool emoji. So here are 14 people on the stream, 15, 16. Great, guys. I'm going to start the quiz. And 20 people. Wow. 21, 22. Cool. Wow. So many people is joining. Thanks for the support, guys. Let me start. So you will see the question. I will read. Okay. I think just give me a second. It may happen that I mess with something because, yeah, I'm trying to prepare the things, learning the things. Just give me a second. Let me see what the issue I have created. Mm. Okay, I need to display this. Okay, let me see if it is running. And okay, let me start sharing again and let me see if this work or not. So this is something you can take it that I put the things in production without testing, and
It happens every time. Yeah, and like, and also being live is not easy, Chirag. I mean, doing things while you are being live is one of the toughest things.
I don't understand why it is not showing question. It is directly jumping to leaderboard. Just give me a few seconds, guys. Meanwhile, Ranga, you can share some other thoughts that you have.
Okay. Probably I'll just browse through the question and see if there is something which
Sure,
would be
sure.
okay.
This is in
Mhm.
position. This is in code. Not hide any of this. So
Yeah, I think there is a question about how to choose the tools for DevOps. I think, yeah, uh, it's not. Yeah, I think the one of the big like a lot of people actually say I want to learn DevOps, but they don't know what is that they want to really focus on, right? So that's a big challenge. And because whenever we talk about DevOps in the industry, it can represent anything starting from how you develop things to how you deploy and monitor them in production. So there are a lot of aspects related to DevOps which come into picture when we talk about DevOps. So trying to figure out uh, trying to, like, when you are learning especially, right, it's very very difficult to choose which DevOps tools to start with. uh, like today I would say, if you are going to start with DevOps, probably starting with some kind of a continuous integration, continuous deployment platform. So starting with continuous integration, I think that's one thing people can do. On the cloud there are a lot of continuous integration services, or if you don't want to go to the cloud, probably Jenkins is one of the places where you can start to understand what is continuous integration. The second thing I would recommend people to learn is containers and container orchestration, because I think containers, like earlier we used to say cloud first, today we say container first, right? So a lot of enterprises say container first, so they would containerize everything before they would deploy them. So probably learning Docker, learning Kubernetes, I think those would be the starting points. So if somebody is starting their DevOps journey, I think those would be the good points to start. Another thing I usually recommend is to look at the job profiles you want to apply to. Okay, Shirag is here. So,
Yeah.
Shirag,
No
go
issue.
ahead.
I hope this will work now. Okay, guys, I believe, yeah, people are showing love and showing their patience. Thank you for that. Okay, I believe we have almost 16 people here. The mistake what I was doing is I was doing the next from here, but it need to press enter. A small
Ah,
thing like, yeah. Okay, guys. So the first question is which of these are the advantage of the cloud? So you can see the four options here: trade capital expenses for variable, benefit from massive economics of scale, stop guessing capacity, or all of above. So you can choose one and then we will see. Okay, so 12 people have given the, yeah, I believe 12 people is on the quiz, and 9 people selected all of above and 3 selected this. So let's see who is the winner for our uh, first question. And here are scoring board. So okay, so Himangi is the winner of this question. Congratulations, Himangi. So you can drop a message to me or Ranga, and he will, we will share the code, and you can start learning his GCP course. So let's go to the next question. Oh yeah, again this time I will not do any mess. Okay, so question two, I'm going to press enter now, and which of these is the most popular infrastructure as code solution? I believe everyone will aware, like we talk about that: Docker, Kubernetes, Terraform, Ansible. But let's see who is the fastest. It is like a fastest finger first kind of a quiz. Okay, one, two, three. Let's see. Oh, still people
oh,
think
great.
infrastructure as code. I think, yeah, there is a good discussion point. Maybe we can cover in our next talk. But 17 people selected Terraform, which is a correct answer. Few, like 3 people selected about Docker, one selected about Kubernetes, one selected about on the Ansible part. But yeah, we can cover on this part, so that if there is any confusion, that Terraform is the choice of infrastructure as code because it's a vendor agnostic. And let's see who is the winner of our second quiz. Okay, great. So Shirini Vasa Raju A. So
Yes,
congratulations
right.
again. Connect with us. We will share the code as well as the course link with you. And let's go to the last quiz. And again, I believe this will be the easiest one, but again, timing matter. Which of these is the most popular container orchestration solution? Docker, Kubernetes, Terraform, Ansible. So we got 29, yeah, 20 responses, and let's see. Wow. Guys, it is container orchestration, not the container runtime. So Kubernetes is the answer. 16 people selected that, and 4 selected about Docker. So again, take a course of Ranga's entire list. Follow his YouTube channel as well as his Udemy. So you will find all these courses there. So let's see who is the last winner of today. Wow! Congratulations, Rohit, for the quiz winner. So again, you can connect and reach out both of us, and we will guide you further on the how you can redeem the course. So with that, I believe the quiz is over, and congratulations uh, all of the winner, and any last thought you want to share.
Shirag, I think you are in Singapore. What's the time now?
It's almost, I think, yeah, nearby midnight. Yeah.
I mean, amazing, man. Really, really. I mean, that's dedication. Like, I'm really, really glad that you're putting all this effort to help people learn the cloud, right? So I think cloud is something which is going to be a very, 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 very important skill for people to learn. And I mean, the dedication you show towards creating this kind of discussions and promoting the knowledge of cloud, I think that I really appreciate that. Thanks for doing this.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I always share that communities play an important role in my career, especially don't think that it's something that we don't need to underestimate ourselves, right? There was a day I was not able to talk with people. I was so shy, I was hesitant, and self development efforts is always required. So that is where the whole purpose, because I made my mind that this year, yes, I want to share as much as possible, as well as learning. It is not just that I want to share, but it is a learning also for me to connect with all the industry folk, hear their journey, and it's always give me a inspiration that yes, what I also need to learn and which what I need to do. But one thing I would like to share, guys, try to focus on one thing at a time. Okay, again, if you have confusion, the recording will be available within a few minutes on my YouTube channel as well as on my LinkedIn profile. Watch it, hear what Ranga shared about that, and try to make your action plan. Because this year I started with cloud leaders. Like again, everyone is a leader here. There is no comparison. So, so many what I can say actionable or very great thoughts we got to learn from all those experienced folk who are in industry for more than 20 years and doing a different roles, different technologies, and building the action item is important. Resources are available nowadays. We are resourceful, as you mentioned. So following the same thing from a multiple resources, don't put maybe 50 hours for this, maybe 10 to 20 hour of course, rest maybe 30 40 hours of practice to build your own confidence. So that is what the approach I am also taking, and I believe like people will take such approach, and we will hear a lot of success stories, and we will continue doing like this kind of session more and more. So yeah, thank you, Ranga, for accepting, and I believe it's a weekend for you. So thank you for giving us a time, and next time again we can plan something better. Again, guys, please feel free to connect with us, drop a feedback. It is important. It is not that we know everything. It is just learning from each other. That is what the mindset is. Even many time I also stuck with many issues which I'm not able to solve. So it's learning and sharing. With that, stay safe. Good night. Enjoy your Sunday, and happy cloud computing. Take care.
Thanks, Shirag.